So actually, there's a lot we can learn from these various systems of domination, right? Because they have somewhat similar dynamics. The self-hating Jew, that's an old story. 40, 50 years ago, we were reading about internalized anti-Semitism. Whenever you're trying to oppress a group, farmers, right? Rural people, prejudice against rural people, prejudice against Southern people in the U.S. Any system of domination wants to put down those who are on the bottom. It's only sensible. Becky?
I have a question of when you were talking about the New Zealand story. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of fundraising for a capital campaign. It's always easier to raise money for a building than it is for operating expenses. And it seems to me that if you could find the buildings where people feel like their direct action or their participation will lead to something concrete and lasting, that gets people motivated. And so what would you say would be the buildings of climate change work that would get people up on their feet?
Friend Center.
Well.
That was too easy. But I couldn't resist it because people in my meeting, including me, I can't tell you how many people in my meeting never gave before in their lives as generously as they did toward this Friend Center project. Friend Center, for those of you who don't know, is fossil fuel free. It's fossil fuel free. It's got 0 carbon footprint. Amazing. And my daughter was one of the main fundraisers in my meeting, and she was blown away that people were willing to dig so deeply in their pockets to make that possible.
So beyond the obvious,
a wind farm in Appalachia?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Is there like an issue? Is there something, do you see that there's some theoretical, metaphorical buildings that we can get motivated behind?
Well, I hope that some of you will want to check out the interest group on mountaintop removal this evening that Earthquakers are doing, because we do believe, it has also to do with that earlier question about a handle. Just as racism is this huge thing, how do you get a handle? And then, well, how about a cup of coffee? Yeah, I mean, that seems like, and on the one hand, some people said, oh, it's too trivial, and we're going for the big stakes. Now, how can we bring that down to a cup of coffee? But it turned out to be brilliant, right? So we believe that mountaintop removal is one of those kinds of moments where everybody we talk with just agrees instantly that mountaintop removal is an outrage. I mean, you don't have to spend hours with a slideshow about mountaintop removal or something. People just say, what? They're doing that? And then when we say, and guess what? Your bank is doing that. And we talk with employees like we did a couple of days ago, Carolyn and Gail, right? And they were surprised. So the employees of PNC, we're building an uproar within PNC itself about why are they doing one of the worst things. I mean, it's as if we went to Germans in the late 30s and said, guess what? There are concentration camps, and you're involved. And you say, what? It's like that. It's just shocking. Sorry?
I'm a good German.
I'm a good German. I'm a good German. So we have lots of good PNC depositors. And it seems like one of those handles that might exist. But maybe we're wrong. So it's an experiment. But so far, it's looking very promising.
Just to follow up on that comment, which might help clarify, because it's just suddenly clicked back to something else I had been through a few weeks ago, a student power workshop, U.S. Social Forum, actually, and what one of the presenters there said, how they put it, was that there are 2 basic strategies you can follow, and he was talking about student organizing, but I'm just realizing now how applicable it is across the board. So 2 ways you can go about it. One is, I forget the exact words, but issue-based. Essentially, you just pick one thing that you want changed. The other is structurally based, which is you want to change the system and empower yourself more within it. And what he said is that the best campaigns are a mix of both. So the example, I believe, was divestment from apartheid, or now it would be Israel. And okay, so that's your issue, and you go after that, but you also use that as a handle to be like, okay, well, we want to be a part of, you know, the structure which makes those decisions as well. So,
so there's a power shift built in
exactly.
into the organizing. Right. That's right. That's right. Yes. Oh, you know what? You did speak earlier, and there are two people who didn't speak yet. Are you willing?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I had a question, harking back a little bit to a comment someone made about the American dream to be a millionaire. And it occurs to me, I've read some research recently that shows that in terms of actual experienced happiness, once you sort of have enough to cover, you know, your housing, your food, your retirement, at a, you know, a fairly medium level, having more money doesn't make you more happy. And but this doesn't seem to be widely known yet. And what I was wondering, is your thoughts on where public education would fit into the change that we're trying to bring about. Because if we taught things like this, if we had really good social science education in schools across the board, I think that could make a really big difference.
I was talking with an educational reformer yesterday about this. As far as I can tell, it's like Cecil Thomas weaving a consensus among the rich on what to do about China, that consensus has been woven on what to do about public education, and the choice has been to flush public education down the toilet.
So, I agree with you. I mean, that's what I see.
Yeah.
Who do you start talking to
We need a new leadership.
get a water?
We need for those people who are making those decisions that hurt so many people. 1 American in 8 is now hungry every day. That's a decision. The people who are making those decisions need to be fired.
And how does one do that?
By building a struggle movement of allies, as they did in the countries where they've been successful, using nonviolent direct action, overthrow them. They will respond with violence, of course. They always do. There was, in the 1870s, that was one of the moments in American history where it looked like the people were rising up against that leadership group. Armories were built. Think of your cities. Chances are the armory that was built in your city was built in the 1870s. That was in order to be able to violently put down the upsurge for democracy in this country. Every once in a while, we do it. It's very exciting, actually. We Americans, we will do it. We will, every once in a while, do an upsurge, and then they will call out the troops. So we'll do another upsurge. I think we will, because really our lives are on the line. I mean, my grandchildren, like, forget about my grandchildren, right? If we don't do this now. And so we will upsurge, and they will respond violently. They will definitely do that. So that's one reason why we need each other, why these young adult friends who are talking a strong community line right now are right on target. We can't do it as individuals. We can do it by holding each other. We can stand up against the violence that will come down. Because if we allow this to go on, yes, now the public schools are being flushed down the toilet. Next it'll be what? Privatizing Social Security, which means to say, throw yet more old people into poverty, and so on and so on. Their agenda is a phenomenal agenda. If you read the right-wing agenda, it is one of the scariest things in the world. They don't call it fascism, but I don't know what else to call it. That is their agenda for us. And if we keep believing we live in a democracy, we're just going to go along, well, I don't know why this is happening. And we need to take charge, and we can take charge. And so these institutions that are being made decisions about, like public education, are not themselves instruments for change because those decisions have been made. On the other hand, it's possible to struggle for public education in a way that it moves toward firing the leaders, firing this class. So it's not give up your caring about education at all. It's just that it's not about struggling for the crumbs that they're still allowing a few public districts to have. It's not about that. It's about building power, as Lincoln says, building power, movements that while education is the frontline issue, just like mountaintop removal or these various things that we're grabbing hold, these handles, that the idea is to build our power as a people so we can at last take charge of our own country. And we totally deserve it. We've suffered long enough. I am also running out of gas myself. Speaking of, I'm running out of solar energy, running out of wind power.